Okay folks, as promised, we're going to get this experiment on the way with the sumac berries. Now these particular sumac berries that I've been speaking of are called Staghorn Sumac. They're not to be confused with poisonous sumac. You surely wouldn't want to put poisonous sumac berries in your smoker and not only smoke your bees with it, but inhale it yourself. So don't be messing around with something you're not sure about. Make sure you have the Staghorn Sumac berries. Here's some drier ones and what they would look like when they're a little bit drier. And here's some from last year that are completely dried. So I'm going to stick these in my smoker first to get it going, and then I'm going to top it off with some of the more fresh options there. After I get in there and smoke the bees, my plan is to remove the bottom box from the bottom board and cut a piece of this poster board to put in there. The poster board is going to make it a lot easier for us to get a count on the mites that drop, if any at all do drop from the sumac. Once I get the poster board in place, we're going to go ahead and get a mite reading with the alcohol wash and see where the mites lay. Over the next couple weeks of inspections, when I inspect this hive, I will only use sumac berries as my smoker fuel, and we'll see, does this happen to make mite counts go lower, or does it do anything at all for them? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get in here and get the box opened up, add that cardboard, and we'll do our mite wash. Okay, so before I light my smoker and the sumac berries, I want to note how I've moved the alcohol, which was sitting here, over to there. You don't want the alcohol close to your smoker because it is extremely flammable. So keep it to the side. Whenever you need the alcohol, make sure you move the smoker away. So there we go. Cardboard's in place. We should be able to get an accurate reading on our count now as the mites drop. Now one thing that's really crucial is you either want to find your queen before you start your mite wash and set her in an extra empty nuke box so you make sure that you don't include her in your wash and kill her, or you take the frame that you're going to do your mite wash from and you look it over very good and make sure that she is not on that frame. This frame here is mostly capped, got older larvae on it. I do not see any eggs. I'm pretty darn confident the queen is not on here. So I'm going to collect my bees to do my mite wash from this frame. Okay, at this point I have the bees, roughly 300, filled up to the white line, the second white line in the cup. That's roughly 300 bees. Now I'm going to put some rubbing alcohol in the clear bottom part of the container, and we're going to drop the bees in and do our wash. Now, just as a side note here, I have a couple different rubbing alcohols here. I am going to use the green because the white belongs to my wife and she's going to kill me if I use all of it. So don't wonder what the green substance is, because it's actually rubbing alcohol with a green tint. That's all. And then just like that, you put the lid on and you're going to shake it around and dislodge those mites. I know it makes you feel bad because you just killed 300 bees, but think of how good this colony is going to do because you're doing this mite wash. Just that quick, dead bees. We're going to continue to shake it for a minute and dislodge as many mites as we can. And then what I like to do is, after I dump out the alcohol, keep the bees in the basket and put a little water in it, shake them again. It kind of just betters your reading a little bit, makes it a little bit more accurate. Now just looking here at the bottom, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, I see 4 mites. And I'm going to try and give you a view so you can see them. Okay, so I've dumped out the rubbing alcohol. I do want to point out I have a little bit of dirt in here, so we got to make sure we don't count the dirt as mites. But I've now got just water in here. I am going to transfer my basket with my dead bees and pour in the leftover or the residual rubbing alcohol that's left in the cup, and we're going to shake it again just to see if we can dislodge any more mites. So far I've got a count of 5. Will that change any? Or is that our number? Let's find out. Take the lid back off. Turn this back upside down. And it appears that there is no more mites. That is it. 5 mites per 300. So now to calculate that and see what that comes out to per 100. So there we go, folks. The first part of the test is done. All we can do now is wait and see if this smoke causes any mites to drop. Now, as you notice, when I put the box back together, I smoked both boxes. Not to make the bees move out of my way, just so I could go ahead and give them their first application of Staghorn Sumac smoke. I'm also going to smoke them one more time before I walk away, but I'm going to just smoke the entrance. And then I'm not going to bother them for a few days, and I'll come back, simply go through the boxes again, smoke everybody, and put the boxes back together. Maybe take a quick look at the poster board we put in the bottom, and see if there's any mites on it. But at this point, we are ready to move on to stage 2. And if you use one of these mite washers, I hope you observed how I ran the cup down the frame against the bees and the bees just fell in. If you've seen my mite wash video, I suggest that you take like a hospital tub, a wash-up tub, and shake a couple frames of bees into that, and then use the cup and scoop them up. Well, that little trick you've seen me do will save that hassle. Okay, so 3 days ago, I added my poster board and I did my mite wash, and it was the first time that I used the sumac for my smoker fuel. Today, I just opened it back up, and here's what I'm finding. It looks like, kind of like I kind of suspected, the bees are chewing out the poster board and removing it on their own. If I look close across the top for Varroa mites, to be honest with you, I do not see one. Not one single mite anywhere. The things that kind of grab my attention and I think of mites might be mites like this bigger object that you see right here in front of my finger, that's not at all a mite. Something round, but it's not a mite. So I'm going to have to say that observations from the sticky board or my poster board idea are not going to work. I guess maybe what I should have did, and it may have prevented the bees from chewing on it, I should have rubbed some vegetable oil on the paper. So at this point, I think I'm going to leave it there in hopes that maybe we can see some kind of a mite drop, but at this moment I do not. I do not see one single mite. Nothing. Well, I did a lot of chewing, that's for sure. So I guess what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the bottom box back on here. I'm going to smoke them. I'm going to set the top box back on here. I'm going to smoke them. And then while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and I got some syrup made over here under the shade tree and a bucket, and I'm going to top off their feeder. And I'm also going to introduce, just for safe measures, a beetle barn and see if we can cut back on the hive beetles. Okay folks, so since the poster board was inserted into the bottom of this hive, it took about 6 to 7 days, and the bees had completely removed the poster board by chewing it up and carrying it away a piece at a time. Here's what the bottom board looked like. You can see there is no paper left at all. So what I've done is I've taken another screened bottom, completely screened this time, the whole bottom, and I've put a removable tray in the bottom. Now this will help me get a more accurate mite drop, and we'll be able to see what's happening with the results from the sumac smoke. So what I want to do now, I've already got the sumac going in the smoker. I want to kind of roughly show you how I'm going about treating, what we're calling it here, with the sumac berries. So let's move in and do that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and smoke them at the entrance because I don't want them to get annoyed by me pestering them. Then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my bottom board, my mite board from the back, and I'm going to blow smoke up through the screen bottom, and I'm going to crack the top and give a little place for the smoke to exit. Listen to them buzz when I smoke them. See a little bit of smoke coming out the crack. We got some bees coming out here to investigate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider that an accurate. Treatment, I guess is what we're calling this, of sumac smoke. I'm going to clean the mite board off completely, which will just go ahead and dump it here now. We got a nice clean area there to work with or to look at tomorrow. We got a nice clean area there to get some results on, so we'll stick it back in now. I'll close the top back up and I'll leave this alone. And over the next 3 days, I'll be checking this board and getting a count on the mites that fall through. And I'll return again 7 to 8 days and do this again. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip a week and I'm not going to treat. And then I want to see what the mite count is on the board. So is it the sumac? is it the genetic of the bees killing the mites? We will see. Okay, so now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the part everybody wants to know. Did Staghorn Sumac really help with the mite population, or did it do nothing at all? Well, here's what I found. I treated just like I showed you, blowing the smoke up through the screen bottom board and letting it escape through a crack from the top cover. And I did this for about 5 weeks in a row. And what I noticed was, anywhere from 2 to 4 days after blowing the sumac through the colony, I noticed an increase in the mite drop. So this led to some curiosity. Is this just my bees' genetics controlling the mite population, or is this actually the sumac? So what I did was, for an additional 2 weeks, I did not blow smoke, but I went back and watched the mite drop. And what I noticed was, without the sumac smoke, there was very few mites on our monitoring board without the sumac smoke. So this leads me to believe that there is something to this sumac smoke and controlling mites. Now, sadly, before I was able to finish this test completely, the weather has turned to crap, and I am now unable to do an alcohol wash, which is what I would really like to do. And at the same time, I'm kind of relying on this sumac as my treatment, because I haven't had the opportunity to follow behind after the treatment and do an oxalic acid vapor treatment. So what I'm probably going to do is here in the next week or so, I see we've got a couple of warm days. I'm probably going to follow behind and do at least 1 or 2 of these oxalic acid treatments, just as a little bit of extra insurance. I'm not completely sold on the sumac just yet. I would like to experiment a little bit more next spring, but I do think there is something to this sumac. Now you got to understand though, sumac is not an approved Varroa mite controlling method. So keep this in mind, that when you're using sumac, you're really not abiding by your state's laws. And that's the same here in Ohio. A lot of people use the sumac, but it's not an approved method here in Ohio. So keep all this in mind. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's never a good idea. And maybe consider experimenting yourself with the sumac, because like I say, and like you've seen with the results here, there does seem to be something to this. I would almost like, for somebody to break down the components in sumac and see maybe what's in the sumac that's helping control or drop these mites and an increase. I don't have the skill set to do that, so that's out of my hands. But if somebody does have that skill set and equipment, that would be wonderful. And I hope you'll reach out and maybe we can do some work together. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know it's been a long time coming, and I hate that it's taken this long, but I just wanted to make sure that the results I'm telling you were accurate. And to this point, like I say, I am convinced that there is something to this, but I can't say what it is yet. I did see an increase in mite drop after smoking with sumac. So time will tell, and I plan to experiment with this a little bit more next spring. So I hope this has helped your curiosity, and this video has been well worth your wait. If you enjoyed the video, throw me a big thumbs up. That'll help boost it in the YouTube search ranks and help let other beekeepers know about this sumac and Varroa mites. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and make sure you click on that little bell so you get notified when I release new videos. Thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you next week.